Greetings.
Greetings.
I have a friend that had surgery on, she had a cyst on her right ovary, and she just had an ultrasound and found out that they found another cyst on her left ovary. So they want to try to give her birth control, but she's like 13 years old. She's very young. So do you know of any other way that, you know?
Oh, her diet is raggedy. She eats way too much dairy products, way too much sugar. Because you will make a cyst on your ovary every month. I mean, the corpus luteum is literally a cyst. Okay, now how much fluid is accumulated in that little gland known as the corpus luteum is a different story. And in women who do not bathe, they only take showers. In women who eat tremendous amounts of dairy products, who eat tremendous amounts of sugar, that cyst becomes very large because they don't get in a bathtub to bring the heat to that part of the body so that that can actually be reabsorbed and moved into the circulation and removed out through the kidneys and the lymphatics.
Right. What about a lot of water? Will that help if she drinks more water?
But she's got to bathe, and
Okay.
you've got to break down this mucus that she's created in her lymphatic systems throughout. So, you know, you can write me and you can get a consultation.
Okay.
I do electronic medicine.
Right.
And I'm excited about that. Okay. I do electronic medicine. You know, we are able to see our clients. You can talk to me just like I'm talking to you, but
that'd be great.
On my computer.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I do my work by telephone, etc., and I've managed entire cases. As long as you can send me the information I need, I manage entire cases and never physically have to see the person.
All right.
Because when you know what you're doing, you just know what you're doing.
That's right.
That's mastership.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
And I just say that humbly, but I do know. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Dr. Pookrum.
Greetings.
I am a walking testament to a healthy diet. I came to you 2.5 years ago. Both of my fallopian tubes were blocked, one irreparably. I now have a 4-month-old little girl.
Oh, good. Well, great. Thank you. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm Selena.
Yeah.
I'm Selena Swan. I did the microbiotic diet.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 months,
mm-hmm.
and praise God, the Lord led me to you. And although we may not agree on everything, I just thank the Lord that we were on one accord about that.
Okay, thank you.
Been here.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Did you bring pictures? Oh, hi. Oh, great. Yeah. Oh, okay. Isn't that nice? Okay, great. Are these for me? Yes. Oh, good. Okay, so can you just write her name and when you had her and everything on there? Okay, great.
Right.
And so I do want to comment on that. I have a lot of women that come to me for infertility problems, and they've been told that they have to have a lot of, I've only had one woman that we had to rebuild her. She had to have a salpingoplasty. And the only reason why she had to have a salpingoplasty, because when she had her tubes tied, that's a misnomer. They really don't tie your tubes. They cut them. And what they did is that they took her whole tube out, just about. So what little bit she had left, they had to reconstruct that. But on my program, and when her tube was reconstructed, since then she's had 4 children. So I'm saying, so when the tubes are scarred or when they're full of mucus, etc., we can easily get rid of that. It does not need all of this manipulation. But as the sister has said, it requires discipline, focus, and eating live foods prepared properly. And that's all you need. The body will do the rest, and that's a real gift. Yes.
Yes, I was told by my physician that I don't make enough red blood.
Uh-huh.
And thalassemia.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and he said it's nothing that I can do, but he wants to give me iron. And you just told us that.
Oh, yeah, you can change that. That's a genetic issue.
Yeah.
But you can repress that and change it. You just need to know what you need to do.
Okay.
So if you want to call me for consultation, we'll hook you up. Okay. Or you can write me. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Got a card?
See it up there? Okay. No, I don't. But your friend has my number, though. Okay, right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Greetings, Dr. Pookrum.
Greetings.
It's been a wonderful, thank you. It's been a wonderful evening sitting at one of the feet of our masters. I tell you, this has really been a pleasure. I wanted to ask you a question. I'm an OBGYN nurse, and what I have noticed in the last few years, I don't know if it's because maybe I'm so new to the field, but it seems like it used to be we would hear about miscarriages more so in Caucasian women. And as I'm working in this field, it seems like more and more African women and women of darker color are coming now having more and more miscarriages. And I'm hearing the doctors say, well, we just don't know what's going on. We can't tell you why. And, you know, they're going into all these surgeries and tissues are being taken from their bodies and all of this. And I was looking at the triangle of the mind that you showed us. I wanted to know, in your studies, have you seen that there are things that are interacting in our community in particular that may be causing this increase in miscarriages?
Well, there's a lot of things going on here. The statistics that I had in 1990 were indicating that the Caucasian race was going to be a minority race by the year 2050 in this country, and that the Hispanics would be number one, the Asians would be number two. Hispanics would be first, Caucasians, then Asians, and then the African Americans would be the smallest population. But the graph was very interesting. It was a pie graph because it showed that in 1990, the African population was 14%, and it showed that in 2050, the African population would be 12%. Okay. So instead of increasing, because all the other races were actually increasing marginally, the African race would be less than what it was. It was actually going into a zero population mode for 50 years. So when I saw that, I was quite concerned because I'm like, well, what is going to happen that is going to make that the case? So I started looking at the rate of hysterectomies, looking at the rate of the types of birth control that were used. The Norplant is a 5-year program, that kind of thing. But as I started traveling, there is a problem in many parts of the world. For example, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, they have a very, very high infertility rate. They can't even get pregnant because of sexually transmitted diseases. Chlamydia, trichomonas. Okay, and it is actually causing havoc in the tubes of these women. So I don't know if there's an organism, chlamydia, that is responsible here for all of the spontaneous abortions, etc. I know that the diet here is very poor. The fast foods are definitely very dangerous. Where I live in Washington State, it is amazing to really watch those chicken farms. You know, they're hot houses for chickens. Okay. And it's so mystical just about because they will only deliver the chickens at night. They come and pick the chickens up at night. And they just have, you know, acres where they have these houses that they have 2,000 or 3,000 chickens in each house. And one farm may have maybe 10 to 12 houses. And it smells so bad that when the wind blows, it's just disgusting because it's chicken poop and urine. And it's so interesting because I never recognized how caustic and how acidic chickens are. But the farmers will tell you that they sell chicken manure, but you can't use chicken manure for almost 2 years. That once you buy it, you have to let it set because it is so acid, it will kill whatever it lands on instantly. So I'm saying that if people are eating these fried chickens, you know, from all these fast food places, it's a known fact that they are genetically engineering chickens where they don't grow beaks anymore, where they basically don't fly because they don't need to. So they don't have to debeak them. They used to have to chop their little beaks off and things like that. So they don't do that anymore. And I don't know what they call them because they really say that, you know, the agricultural department doesn't allow them to really call them chickens. But they are sold as such. So I say that it probably is also the food that's being eaten. I'm very leery of the candies that are present. You know, it's very interesting that you want to sell me twice as much candy for less money. No, why? Oh, I mean, there's a problem with that. Now, see, it goes back to my medical school training, because in my medical school, one of the deans of the department was a known osteologist. He was a specialist in bone metabolism. And I remember going into the lab, and he had all these little bones in these petri dishes, and they had different concentrations of sugar. And it was amazing, because I never thought that you could take a piece of bone and actually turn it into rubber, where the bone just is completely rubber. It's nothing but matrix left, because all of the minerals are drawn out by sugar. So it's a known fact that Africans have 10 times the bone mass than Caucasians. Africans of all the races have the greatest bone density. And as it is slated in the research, and Stanley Garn from the University of Michigan wrote an article on this, is that by the time an African is diagnosed to have osteoporotic disease, the bone has been almost irreparably damaged, because the standard of the Caucasian is not appropriate for measuring the density of African bone, because it's 10 times greater. But what de-densifies bone of any type very rapidly is sugar. So when I see all this sugar around in our communities, and you're selling me twice as much for less money, you know, I just know that that is just not in my best interest. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Greetings, Dr. Pookrum.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm fine. I have a question about fevers. I've been collecting information about fevers, and especially in young children, like probably between the ages of 2 and 5. And I wanted to know, I've heard a lot of stories, what is the highest that a child that young could tolerate, like the highest degree, and what would be the best way to remedy it? Quickest, effective, most safe way to get rid of a fever, say, over like 103.
Okay, well, first of all, you want to understand that a fever in itself is not pathologic. You want to have a fever.
Right.
Okay, because heat stimulates activity of the immune system. That's why the body will crank up the temperature. Because if it has been invaded with a virus or a bacteria, then the first thing they want to do is send the soldiers out. And the soldiers are the white blood cells. And the white blood cells flood into the circulation when the temperature goes up, because they're stored normally in the lymph nodes. So if you think of your lymph nodes as little forts, like Fort Lewis and, those are little forts. Also in the gut and in the spleen, okay, and in areas where there's a lot of lymph nodes, or lymphoid tissue. So when the temperature goes up, they immediately know to come out and check out things to see what's happening. So it's not a problem as long as it doesn't go too high. We find that in children of that age, they cannot tolerate temperatures above 103.5 to 104 degrees, because it immediately throws the brain into a seizure formation, usually due to 2 reasons. Inappropriate dehydration, okay, 1, and a very dirty colon, okay, because as above, so below. Right. And so the fastest way to lower any temperature is to give the individual an enema, okay, putting anything on the skin that causes the heat to evaporate very fast, such as alcohol, etc., which is why you can wipe a person down in alcohol, or vinegar and water also dissipates it. But if you give enemas, that lowers the body temperature right away. Keeping the child hydrated also stabilizes the nervous system, as we've seen, and giving the enema not only drops the body temperature or the core temperature, but it also gets rid of any waste and putrefaction that the bacteria could use as food to rapidly grow upon. Okay, because the toxins from the bacteria also can be irritating to the nervous system and also cause seizure activity. So hygiene will normally always assist in maintaining a healthy temperature or febrile state so that the white blood cells can do what they need to do. Then the temperature will go down. The child will be fine. Okay, and it's amazing how that is so resisted in the hospital setting. And I'm like, we have space stations in outer space, and we act like we've never heard of an enema in the hospital.
Right.
So I just saw a patient recently in the hospital, and, when I examined her lower abdomen, I could feel her whole colon because it was full of stool. And I'm like, you're not going to ever get off this pain medication if you don't get all these toxins out of you. And so they wanted to give her a hard time about asking for an enema every day. And I'm like, well, the litmus test is obvious. She gets an enema every day until you can't feel the stool. Right. And then we can decide that they should be at any other rate. But as long as you feel stool like that in a person, they have to be cleaned out on a continuous basis. And most mothers are not checking the bowel and urinary habits of their children. Okay, so I think that it's very important that if they're fed on a regular basis, then usually when they go to the toilet. And then as far as I'm concerned, it may sound strange, but because I really could not tolerate illness in my home, I checked my children's stool when they were young. Okay, I know you're laughing. My daughter's over here. It's like, why are you doing this? No. But I did. I mean, because I knew that I could not take care of illness all day and then come home and take care of it at night. So, I mean, I just could not have that in my house because I would have been a child abuser. No, I know.
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.